Um, pretty lazy. It is. Yeah, that's my
Revenue opportunity offset expenses.
I like,
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is August 26th, 2025. Welcome to our Tuesday 9 a.m. board briefing session. Let the record reflect we have three commissioners that are present today. Commissioner Kearns, Commissioner Jordan, and Commissioner Cuney. Commissioner French is on another call and will be joining us later. And Commissioner Walter Fite is not available today. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Sorry, we're starting a few minutes late. So we'll just start moving. So we have Under Sheriff Kevin Ritchie.
Good morning. So I have a pretty easy one today. This is a grant award acceptance for our 2025 to 2026 WASPIC Registered Sex Offender Address Verification Program Award. WASPIC does everything mid-year to mid-year, so it's July 1 to 2025 to June 30th, 2026. The award's for $313,782, and it covers part of one of our sex crimes detectives, and then it also covers our registered sex offender coordinator. In addition, there's money available to go out and do the face-to-face address verifications. Basically do that on overtime so it doesn't conflict with normal day-to-day stuff. So this is just the last year we got 308,000, so it's gone up a little bit, but this is just for the county to accept the grant award.
If we're all in favor.
Awesome.
There you go.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Couple slides here. This is an easement acceptance issue for the Bellatess Apartments. So up on that vicinity map, there's the red kind of highlighted area in the upper right areas. So this is just east of Sullivan. This is a project the county had an easement for public sewer that we bought back in 2003. The Bellatess Apartments were built and they needed to realign the sewer to go around their buildings and fit their site plan. So in 2022, they realigned some sewer. And so this is just kind of following up on that their sewer easement needed to be tweaked just a little bit to follow the new alignment. And so we're just following through on the paperwork for that. Last month, they recorded an easement for this new sewer alignment, but they didn't kind of get the county's acceptance of that. So this is just a re-recording of the easement that they recorded last month, that the county would accept their new easement. So, and then next slide. So the yellow is the existing easement that we got in 2023, or sorry, 2003, and then the blue is the new easement alignment that matches the new sewer. So, and then there's one more slide that shows just kind of a side by side of the record or the legal descriptions for the old easement is on the left and the new easement is on the right. Any questions or more information like on that? That's good. That's a thing.
Maybe Matt. Morning. Good morning.
So I'm here to let you know about an award we received from the NHS, which is the National Highway System. And then I'm also going to be presenting an award on behalf of Leanne Yamamoto for the CTR. So the National Highway System program, it's a federal program and the funds are distributed through WSDOT. And it's just a way to help manage our assets, our arterials and our freight routes, and the intermodal facilities and the supporting facilities that support these NHS routes. So in the spring of this year, we applied for 3 applications, 3 projects, Nevada Street, Argonne Street, and Country Homes Boulevard. Spokane County was awarded the Country Homes Boulevard project at 100% funding, so meaning no county match. And the award total is a $2.2 million award. And this is a preservation project. This is a really busy arterial with almost 24,000 daily trips on it. And the project limits go from Division to Wall Street and encompasses a little bit of the Wall intersection as well. It's a 2-inch granite inlay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna narrow the outer lane to match the inner lane, going from 11 to 10 feet. So the other lane is an existing 10-foot road or lane. And then we're gonna widen the bike lane from 4 to 5 foot, bring that up to standards. Crosswalks will be restriped and ADA ramps will be brought up to standard on this one. And this is the vicinity map, so you can see that it extends from Division and it goes up into Wall, and then it encompasses 1/5 of a mile of Wall, basically from intersection to intersection on Wall. So we'll get that fixed, and this road has some cracking and some large potholes when you get to the intersection from people waiting for the light to turn. So this is a good project. It's gonna probably make the road much easier to navigate and safer too. And then moving on to the next slide, PE will start in 2026 and construction is scheduled for 2027. And once again, it's a $2.2 million award, no county funds involved. So fully funded project. So once again, I'm speaking on behalf of Leanne Yamamoto about the CTR award. So if you remember from the last time I was here, I was talking about the STBG awards that we got from SRTC, and that is the block grant award. It's a really flexible source of funding. And within that STBG, there's multiple buckets of funding. And this award is a CMAQ funding. It's the congestion mitigation air quality. And it's just basically directing, improved air quality and reduced congestion. So that's the purpose of this funding. So going on to the next slide. The CTR program was awarded $980,000 through the CMAQ over 3 years through 2027 to 2029. In addition, there was a state awards for $654,000, and that's to maintain the program. This is a state mandated program. But the good thing about that is that funds from the state are covering the 13.5% matching funds required for the federal award. So this is basically a $1.6 million award, no matching funds for this as well. Going on to the next slide, please. The CTR program, if you're not familiar with it, focuses on trip reduction and innovative transportation demand management strategies, which is just kind of a fancy way for saying, let's ride bikes or walk or take the bus or work from home or whatever. And the point of it is it's informational. It's to target, community centers and STA and the Clean Air Agency and the health district to kind of, promote these alternate forms of transportation besides single occupancy vehicles. And then moving on to the next slide. And the purpose of this is to create awareness and educate people and residents and students that there's other ways to get around besides just driving your car everywhere, with the goals to reduce drive-alone trips, vehicle miles traveled, and greenhouse gas emissions by 5% over the next coming years. And how they're going to do it is through public awareness campaigns that could include a smattering of different things. It could be mailers, radio, billboards, TV ads, social media, flags downtown, just to kind of bring awareness of this program. And then I don't think there's any other slides left, but do you have any questions about the CTR program or the NHS award that we have just recently received?
So the CTR program, it is all funded through all these different groups. I know Leanne does a great job, so we're really fortunate to have her been doing it for so long. So it's been, she's just great. So
yeah, her team has been together for over 20 years. Cam and Billy and Linda have all been with her at least 20 years, which is kind of amazing, right? You get that much experience. They all know their job. They do a great job getting the sites on board and compliant with the program, which is one aspect of what they do. And it's been really successful. Leanne is fantastic. I'm really lucky to have her.
Yeah. So it's fun being at the awards to see who's, all the people that are participating in it.
Yeah, it's really nice acknowledgement, isn't it?
So.
That's good.
All right, well, with that, have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah.
Leave us to
All
Matt.
right, on to the most exciting part of your day, establishments. I've been balling them up and holding out on you for a while now.
Exactly.
We have a whole bunch, I believe it's the preference of the board that we do them kind of in groups. And that's what we're doing again this year, if the board is good with that. I think we have 4 in this group. This first one here, you can see is up in the Glen Air neighborhood, kind of the west flank of Tower Mountain. And it's kind of an infill piece, and there's just a loop road, it has 2 different names, Willamette and Scout. So just a little addition off of Glen Air there. Next slide. This one is out by Commissioner Cooney, it's Beverly Avenue, and it's just a piece connecting the existing Taylor Cottages subdivision into the city, actually at 14th there. So it's just that little section of red roadway that's being established. And these have been built and certified for better part of a year. Really, the push for us to get them established now is get them on our books for winter maintenance so that we have them on our list and current, and people aren't having to call to get. Even before they're established, if they're public roads, we tend to maintain them, but they're at the bottom of our list when we're done with everything else, unless it just makes sense to do it for. So it's nice to get everything current before winter. Next slide. So this one is kind of west of town and north of Highway 2, out and almost to Airway Heights. You can see there's a lot of road names on this one. There's a lot of small pieces of roadway. This is, I believe, the build out of this plat. I don't think there's any more phases to it, so this will be the completion of that. And it's just several little chunks you can see there, and then also a piece of 12th Avenue, which is the arterial out in that area. Oh, yeah, every college name is represented. You got Sun Devils, you have, apparently we know where all of their development people went to college.
I don't know about how Sun Devils. Maybe we can take that separately.
Yeah, we can definitely take that on.
All right.
Thank you. Next slide here, you can see we're still out west of town. This is the West Terrace neighborhood. And this is the build out of this plat also. There was 2 phases. One we certified and established, I'm gonna say 5 or 6 years ago. And this is the completion of that portion. It's that Fairways Golf Course is directly to the south. And that's also being developed a phase at a time. Yeah, those are the road names you can see there, the Salmonberry, Rye, Broden, Callwood, Lincolnberry, Berry Court. Happy to answer any questions regarding those. Sounds good, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I did want to, just as you mentioned, winter maintenance, we always kind of put off picking a date and scrambling for a winter ops press conference. I know it's odd bringing it up on a day where we're supposed to be like 95 degrees, but is it just throw that out if we could all kind of keep that in mind, maybe we can get something on the books in the next month or so we can actually have the winter ops present before the snow that actually falls. So might just, maybe we can do it this year. We can get it done before we actually start doing the work.
That would be really nice to get ahead of it, and if you might coordinate schedules, Martha Lou, and
I sure will.
yes, that would be great, appreciate that. All right, have a good morning.
Thank you.
Josh.
That's scheduled.
Well, good morning. We go ahead and do our best to give the presentation here on the work that we've been doing on the fitness center. So Ron, do you have that?
Not Josh.
Yeah. Not Josh.
I'm like, what
yeah.
is George doing here?
You're not
Not on the list.
Yeah. Yes. So so Shauna and I, we've been involved with Josh and doing some of the work on on the fitness center. And we've got some updates to provide to you all today, and we want to make sure to get these updates before you start seeing some equipment arriving and everything else. So Ron, if you could go next. So as a reminder, we conducted a survey last year, got a significant response from folks, from employees. Looks like 527 total responses. We had a lot of folks that were in favor of going forward with the fitness center here on the campus. And 71.7 folks saying that they would be happy to participate in the gym membership, even if there was a fee associated with that. And this is all information that we briefed y'all on earlier. So on next slide. So current progress after the commissioners were briefed on this, and I don't remember the date that we briefed, but I think it was earlier this year. So we went forward, looked at some budget items. What would it take to get the gym up and operational? And so basic renovation, we were ballparking at the figure listed above. Same with equipment, and then some security equipment there as well. So these were all to be coming out of the county's medical fund, Fund 508 was the proposal at the time. Ron, if we could go to the next slide. So current progress, we have, as the committee, talked a fair amount about this. Shauna and I went over to one of the equipment center suppliers, I think it's last summer, and did a tour, got an idea of, what would you recommend for fitness center for the county. Here are constraints. And so what we've got here on the right side, you can see that we got some quotes for treadmills, stair climbers, upright bikes, ellipticals, some weight equipment as well. With the idea that this is not going to be Gold's Gym or a place for someone to come set personal records on the amount of weight they're lifting, but this is really focused on maintenance, healthy lifestyle, exercise equipment here at Spokane County. So Ron, next. So here's what we've got for our actual startup costs so far. So what we've spent on basic renovations is just over $16,000, and that's some flooring. I think some of you have probably seen the flooring that's gone in there already. We were able to get a really good deal on that. Our quote on the equipment was $36,000, and then we've done some security improvements as well. We've got 2 security cameras in there, and then key badge access to the facility as well. So right now we're at that $58,000 mark on the gym. So coming in well under what we were forecasting for our budget. We've been really conscious of what that would look like, making sure that we're providing the best facility that we can within reason for county employees, and then being very aware of the budget as well. So next round. So as far as next steps go, you're going to be seeing some equipment arriving here. I think it's this week. Yeah, tomorrow. So we'll be bringing in some of that equipment. We've got some additional details to work out with facilities. We want to make sure that we've got everything lined out with risk management, etc., before we open up the gym for full use. So Josh, I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted to add on that slide.
Okay, covered.
So one of the things that we're really conscious of is, what does this look like ongoing? How do we sustain the equipment that we currently have? There are costs associated with making sure that those pieces of equipment, once we've got them in and that we're using them, then we've got an ability to make repairs as necessary, as well as potential other improvements in the gym over time. So we're forecasting approximately what these operational costs will look like, and that's also replacement, repair, et cetera. And so one of the things that we're looking at is a recommendation of a monthly fee associated with the gym to be able to just cover some of those costs and make sure that we're not having an adverse impact to the general fund itself. So that's kind of where we're at for ongoing sustainability of the gym.
Yeah, and for the annual operation cost, we only actually have about $1,500 in anticipated annual cost for the operation of this. The additional 4,000 would be set aside in case a machine broke and needed repairs. Or in the future, we want to upgrade machines, replace machines, or buy new equipment.
So basically, then we're just using one-time dollars to set this up, and then it'll be the ongoing cost of it will be through the fee associated.
Yeah, and we're gonna frame it as a maintenance fee for the users. So just so that way we can say this is what it's going towards, is the annual maintenance of the equipment, of the space, of the facility.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's the users that are paying the cost of that.
And just emphasizing the medical fund is not the general fund, right? So obviously we have a lot of challenges with the general fund. This is a different funding source that makes it possible.
Yes, the funds came out of the medical fund to get us up and running. And then moving forward, we're having our own cost center set up. So the monthly maintenance fee would go into this cost center, and that would be for the fitness committee to use for the annual operations.
And the medical fund is what we all medical is going into since we're self-insured. So, I mean, I can see the nexus of this helps with the health of the employees that would help further reduce costs, but so I mean, and that's why I think I agreed to the one-time cost of doing it, but then like figuring out the ongoing should be based on the people that are really using it. So not on the other people that are not participating.
And that's one of the things that we looked at is what's a reasonable fee, recognizing this is not a full service gym like most folks pay to use. So what would be reasonable and what would ensure that ongoing sustainability? So we just kind of took a look at what would it cost to replace a treadmill, and if we're replacing a treadmill every 2 to 3 years or whatever that might be, what would be a reasonable amount of funding to have in reserves to make sure that if we have breakage in equipment that we don't just lose effectively the gym that we put the time into.
Great job keeping the costs where they're at. So, I mean, I think it would have been a lot harder if it was I mean, even though we approved the up to that amount, being that amount would be, you know, a lot harder to swallow. And as we know, medical costs are going up, you know, so I think great job to you guys to keep it at $50,000. So instead of the 300.
Yeah, and we want to express thanks to facilities. They've been a huge help in this as we've been putting things together and being able to cut costs. Shauna also deserves a ton of credit. She's been carrying the ball for us.
Well, and also I want to give kudos to the purchasing department too. They've been really good in helping us get quotes multiple times as we fine tune what we thought would be best for the gym. So kudos to that department.
We've all done a really good job managing budget closely, using facilities, our own team to do it versus using a third party to do it. Looking at different flooring options, found a really good flooring option that's very durable, but much more affordable, and as well as the equipment too, just multiple bids to make sure we're getting quality equipment at an affordable price. So I think from what I've seen, the employees are going to be pretty pleased that want to use this, and it'll be a good service for them.
With as hugely under budget as you guys were, are there things that you thought you were gonna do that you didn't? Is that how you came in, or? I mean, that's just
The initial.
big spread.
Yeah, the initial ask also included potentially a complete redo of the locker rooms.
Okay,
But after we got more into that and facilities looked into it, they would have had to completely gut and pull permits and made them more ADA accessible. And so that took out a huge cost. Especially with them being able to do it in-house with all the labor, and also took out a huge cost of.
Oh, still a potential opportunity in the future, but I think the team came back with a recommendation and said, let's see what the utilization rate looks like. If it's high, then there will likely need to be some additional locker room space provided, but something down the road that we cross. And if there's a lot more users, that means there's a lot more dollars being generated in the fund that could be used to pay for those future improvements. So start small and then see where it goes.
That's what I was just gonna say, Scott alluded to is maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road. To take a look at the use, and maybe there is a phase 2.
Yeah, definitely room for improvements in our locker rooms. So, yeah.
I think we all look forward to seeing it when all the equipment's in.
There'll be communication, thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
The next two conversations will play into the bonding conversation
Okay.
after them, just so be thinking of it in both what the project is and then the financial aspect of finding a way to pay for it.
I'm just live up here so people can see if you speak. If you interjected in any of it, then you're here.
All set?
Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Listed as Ken Moore giving the presentation, but I got a bit of a team with me, and Krista Rice from the Treasurer's Office is not here, but I've got Tom Konis with me and I've got Kevin Norris on the IT side. I was brought into the project last year to start kind of planning with them, although they've been doing a lot of groundwork even prior to that, meeting with different vendors, attending conferences, learning about different systems that were available. So this isn't something that we just started, a few months ago. It's quite a bit of effort already. But what we're going to talk to you today about is the replacement of the Ascend ProVal system, which is used by both the assessor and the treasurer's office, with a new system called Aumentum. So, Ron, if you want to go ahead and slide. And there's one more about that, Ron. There you go. I'll turn to Kevin, give you a little bit of history on the existing system.
Yeah, the current systems are used by, Ascend is used by both the treasurer and the assessor. The ProVal system is used by the assessor for mass appraisal purposes and valuation of land and improvements on all properties. The systems were put into place in 1998 for Ascend and early 1999 for ProVal. They've been around for a very long time. Both systems are critical in valuing the property, generating and creating property tax bills, billing, collection, and distribution of all the funds, which on an annual basis now, if you include property tax and the special assessments such as stormwater charges, conservation, weed board, total over $1 billion that we bill and collect for annually. All of that money is then distributed to all of the public agencies, cities, school districts, fire districts, water districts in the county. They really rely on this program, as does the county, these two applications, to create, generate, bill, collect, and distribute all those funds. And that's what these two systems have been doing for the last 26 years. And they're antiquated. They're old, they're not being modernized. They're sunsetting these systems, so we do need to move on from them. And concerns with the existing state of the systems are shown at the bottom there. Security risks with aging technology and outage concerns, internal on-premise maintenance and servers and databases. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into this, both by our programming staff and by our some of our system administrators that maintain all of the hardware servers that this data resides on. Staff attrition. Initially, I had 5 people on my team when I implemented both of these systems. Currently, we have a team of 2 that manages these systems along with many other systems that they maintain. And vendor support and maintenance is diminishing. For example, with Ascend, we have 1 support person that has been with us the entire time. We have 1 support person for the Ascend application at this point. Questions regarding any part of the history of that?
Yeah, and just to add, you're looking at about 813K a year to maintain existing state, and we'll get into the new proposal numbers here in just a minute to compare to that. Future state, Ron, would be the next slide. Thank you. So the new Momentum system from Manatron is something we would like to move to. It's a pretty hefty price tag, we understand. Over 2 years, you're looking at an implementation cost and software cost of about $11.7 million. Have that broken down in more detail. I'll go there in just a minute. That gets you your software, your hosting, your implementation. Also gets us a couple of business analysts that will support each office as this thing has to be rolled out and long-term for sustainment. Some of the basic benefits, you get more public access, self-service, capability for folks to do things online. GIS integration, lots of web portals, again, more customer service focused, mobile access for staff and customers. Not something we can do today. Cloud-based, e-filing. So the system will be cloud-based, no longer on-prem servers to be maintained by Kevin's folks. Upgrades and maintenance 100% on us. And then just internal efficiencies with updates and upgrades handled by the vendor. We still have to test, but they carry most of the load there whenever we have to keep that system up. So I'll skip ahead, Ron, just to get into the numbers a little bit more. If you would mind going to slide 9.
I'd like to jump in real quick and talk about one little aspect of it that we're really excited about is the e-filing for our seniors. It will be a lot easier for them. And that population now is more computer savvy than it was if we'd have tried to implement something like this 10 years ago. So we get a lot of requests for it now. We just currently don't have that option with Ascend, which is where we manage the exemption programs in.
Okay, so onto the cost details. You'll see on the screen there. You're looking at, again, if you look at the bottom line number, the grand total, it's 5.74. And this is assuming we could move into contracting this year, wrap that up by the end of the year, and kick off sometime in Q1 26. But we'll be looking at a roughly $5.8 million a year 1 cost. That includes implementation. Year 2 is similar, about 5.9 million. And then after implementation, and we're assuming it's about a 24-month cycle to get through that, we would drop down into the roughly $1.5 million range. We are including 2 business analysts, 1 for each office, the assessor and the treasurer, for the implementation effort. Kind of like we've done with the Workday application. It's paid off. We know that that's a good thing to do. And then long-term, retaining those individuals, hopefully to sustain those systems for those offices. Take some of the burden off IT as well. So, it's a hefty price tag. We do have a 20% contingency built in, which is relatively high, but right now we're presenting worst case. Another example of a worst case number, in about the middle of that grid, you'll see ancillary systems replacement integrations at 2.5 to 4 million. Vendor recommends us peg that at about 3 million. We're going to go ahead and peg it at 4 million. Split 2 million each year during the implementation. That's again worst case. We've got about 50 or 60 ancillary systems right now that are wrapped around the existing Ascend ProVal. IT over the years has done a fantastic job, as they always have, in building these subsystems to support and automate and create efficiencies. Our modern IT department under Kevin, he's doing what he can to get rid of those things and roll those into larger systems like this. So our hope is right now, maybe a third of those systems go away, maybe more, but it's gonna take pretty significant analysis, business process review to be done with the vendor, which is costly. So we're making some assumptions right now that about a third will go away. It'll cost about 4 million. Could be better than that, could be less costly. We're not sure. Deb?
Just quick comment. I can't stress the importance of those business analysts. We've been extraordinarily lucky. Kevin was here during the implementation. My chief deputy was here during the original implementation. I know about half of what she knows and a third of what she knows on Ascend, and that's it. That's the universe of people that kind of really know the operational side. And so to have that legacy of knowledge is absolutely critical for the future of the office. Believe it or not, all of us retire someday. I think Krista's due up with, she'll be eligible within the next 5 years. Same with me and same with others in our office. So Kevin's chickening out and leaving. More this thing kicks off. But no, I mean, so I think that continuity of operation is critical, and have that as not just a resource, but trying to figure out a way that that's a permanent commitment to make sure. Because I'll tell you what, when you look at $1 billion tax receivable, and I don't know whether these zillions of dollars that go sideways because you don't have the right staff. So I will underscore the importance of that. Put a red circle around it, that if you're looking to trim, that's probably not the place.
So if no other questions on costs, we could probably flip back to slide 6, Ron. It's your basic boilerplate implementation timeline. Again, if we're allowed to go into contracting with the vendor, we'll shore this up. We don't know if we'll implement in phases, like you did with Workday, split this in half and do, the assessor side first and the treasurer side second, or vice versa, or if we'll do it one, sweet. It just depends on how we negotiate that, what makes the most sense. The other thing that's up in the air is vendor availability. There's an assumption that, should contracting go smoothly and we get wrapped up by the end of the year, we could peg a kickoff date of January 2nd and go forward. We don't know that the vendor is going to have the staff to come in and support that. It could be another 3 months, 6 months out. So all of this could slide potentially and could be slightly longer than what we're presenting. So it is a best guess right now at 24 months, putting us going live somewhere in the first quarter of 28, but it's tentative until we get through contracting. So best guess right now. Ron, if you want to go to, go ahead.
So question just on implementation and all that, on approval. As Mike knows, being chief deputy auditor before and trying to do reconciliations with this system. It is a time consuming process that happens every day. And so one of my questions is with Workday, how, because I can see the auditor's office is here. So it's like, so how does Workday fit into this? I mean, and the time frame that it takes, because it's, as HR is seeing, once you start to integrate these systems that are integrated, one department greatly affects the other departments. And so I just want to make sure stress, already stressed departments, which I know the treasurer's office is, all of you are, facing that with Workday. So I just want to be cognizant of that, but I know this needs to happen. So I don't want to delay either. But I also want it to be successful. And then as we've asked with all of these, kind of the other question is, knowing the time intense that it takes to do the reconciliations and all that, that could be done much more efficiently. Is there a future with spending these funds, is, looking at 2 business analysts, is there a future reduction of, as people retire, we need to fill those positions?
Yeah, I would be hopeful that there is, because it is extraordinarily labor intensive working on, you think about your laptop from 1997 versus your desktop from 1997 with a screen that was about that long, and compared to today and how much more effective they are. I would hope so. We did see some change and going back in the Wayback Machine from what we went from a mainframe system to this. We did see some change. They were able, that was at the beginning of my time in the office, we were able to through attrition, eliminate a few positions in our office. I can't speak for Tom, but that's kind of the history and that's the hope, and that would be the plan. We're looking out to, 2028, by the time this thing gets done, probably, these things are always perfect and they.
Yeah, right. They always say that day, so.
And you don't always get them done early, let's just put it that way. So there could be some slide, and then when you're looking at, when we'll talk kind of some about my concern when we get into the budget conversation next month, but you're looking into times when we're having like senior management retire, in that time when both of our offices. So it's gonna be some wonkiness. So hopefully, in an ideal world, we would have some extra capacity to begin with, so they can become the next generation of leaders in the office. And then while we rebalance the books as time continues, if that makes sense. So spend a little more maybe now, and then the reductions I think will come.
So one of the nice things with this new system is we currently, when we certify the rule to the treasurer and they start levying the tax portions, my office is basically locked out of Ascend for 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So we can't do anything and they can't either, because we have to get the tax bills to balance. With this new system, it is year oriented, so we would gain all of that time back.
Yeah,
all that work time would come back to
And
us.
another component of that is when these groups are locked out, IT is maintaining all of that. And it's the job. It is a job.
Yes.
Pretty big, intensive priority one job for about a month and a half.
Yeah.
That would go away.
Right.
That would be.
They can't touch it. We're not doing, nothing's happened for 6 weeks, and that's a significant gain.
That's huge.
It's number of FTEs. So, anyway, the intent is to do that. We're not gonna pad staff. We never have them in our offices, so we're not gonna, we'll make cuts as we go and changes.
Just to clarify, the business analysts would be additional bodies.
Correct.
Okay.
Through at least the project period, and then depending on our retirements and turnover and other stuff. we can
And their value,
balance.
because we've never had one, so I don't really know how much work would be there, or if we could combine that work
Yeah.
with another half-time body that I have going now.
It's all what I talked about and very preliminary, like we talked about, it would be nice to have maybe one, if we need
Right.
2, and so, those adjustments and conversations happen.
Yeah.
As they
Well,
go.
one of the things that I foresee with these business analysts is that IT has been the keeper of permissions and configurations and updates. That won't happen anymore. We'll be out of that business, and the departments will be responsible, the right people for maintaining, configuring the applications and maintaining them, scheduling upgrades, all of that with the vendor will fall onto the department's, most likely a business analyst that has been involved with this build out.
Yeah, but which has kind of been an interesting thing, because Krista, more so in, I think CMS would actually write the code, but didn't have the permission, so she'd have to write the code, send it to the IT, and they would apply the code. Then she would test it, fix the, and go this weird dynamic, so I think that is that. Anyway, could we get away with one, and we'll have to do it between 6 to 7 weeks times the number of FTE is pretty significant number. And it's kind of a catch-up period for us in there to structure our work.
Probably an initial reason why you would need 2 is because the treasurer doesn't use Proval.
No.
Proval is a big component of what the assessor does, but when you get into Momentum, it's all one system. So one business analyst may be able to manage all of that, as long as the departments are good with that one person working with both departments.
I just ask, similar to Commissioner Kenny's comments, want it to be successful.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out, are we setting it up for success by having the people who can dedicate the time to make it work rather than just adding it on?
Yeah, I will tell you, 100%, because I mean, this didn't come with it as deep into the workday as we were kind of a central. And we didn't have really any of that at our level, and we were still not caught up to the amount of effort, energy it took to implement the workday without that support piece. So it was brutal on our office, to be honest, without that going into it, that structure. Support, I think the long-term value too is just extraordinarily off the chart to have that knowledge base in the departments, not with the consultant, not in IT, is fantastic long-term value.
Okay.
One more question on the year 3, 4, and 5. It's like 1.5 million on under the grant total. Is that kind of comparing it to the 813 that you talked about under the current system, or can you help make sense of that number versus current state?
Part of it is the hosting that goes on away from here that we don't have to deal with, we don't have to maintain, we don't have to support, just the cloud-based, capability of what this system would have. That is not cheap. That's something that we would have to pay for that support. Nice thing is we don't have to, it's not on us to maintain all of that. That's a huge benefit. That's probably a gain of staff back, staff that we would, especially in IT. So there's gains there and just the ability to stay current, the effort to stay current when you have applications that are on premise is a lot. You have to work with those applications, you have to work with the vendors, you have to implement test scenarios, you have to have users test. Cloud-based applications, as we've seen with Workday already, we've already had one upgrade happen. IT wasn't involved, some staff across the county were involved in testing that, but it just happens. And it's best practice. It's happens to all of the current Workday clients at the same time. You're all current. It's makes for much easier work with maintenance and support because you're on the right version, which is always a critical thing. So yeah, there's extra costs there, but there's a lot of benefit to that.
So does the 813 on the current estimate, I get that's an estimate, does that include work from folks who you said would be kind of freed up under the new, that makes sense, or is it more like a hard cost under the current 813?
The 813 is pretty much hard cost now for programming support that my staff does to maintain the current systems. It includes the maintenance and support annual costs also that we pay out for having these new systems.
Hardware included. But it doesn't include our time, effort, and energy on what we have to do in our office either. So, which is
just an IT.
Doesn't include pain and suffering.
There's, I'm sure, a lot of different costs there that are, that we're missing.
No, there's a lot of not primary that, but just on the maintenance stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It goes away. Fantastic. You're a dreamer.
Did you say you're looking at like a 5-year agreement? That it only goes out to 5, or what kind of time?
We typically look at 5 years with potential annual renewals that would fall in after that, but with a larger system like this, we might consider something much longer. It just depends for negotiation.
Every 5 years.
Exactly.
So are there other counties that are using it in Washington?
There is, this company, Harris Governed, is the parent company of ProVal and Ascend that we have now. So this is basically an upgrade from what they have. Snohomish County is currently moving from ProVal Ascend to this Augmentum system. I haven't called over there because they're supposedly right in the middle of going live. So I've kind of been leaving Linda Yelly alone over there. We do have a conference first week of October. That
Waco, we should.
Mike and I are gonna be down at, so we plan on kind of grabbing some ears while we're down there and seeing how that's going. There's only 2 companies in all of Washington that have the assessment system and the tax system involved. The other one is PAX, also owned by the parent company Harris Govern, which is kind of weird, but they just bought out, they bought out everybody. But they are all smaller counties. Ascend, Aumentum is the only one that historically has the larger counties nationwide even.
And the problem with property tax software is it has to be state specific.
Specific.
I mean, I guess there's some similarity with us in like Iowa for the tax side, and so there's weird connections, but they really have to be state specific, so that's why the population is very small, and I think Ascend has been bought like 3 or 4 times.
Six times.
6 times, all right, yeah, it's like,
Fairly typical.
I didn't know Arizona, let's put it
Oh,
that way, so. But so it's been kind of this consolidation of the market, and then it gets like chunked up to the various states is really the issue, and then each county has their own levels. You're gonna see for states too, so.
Well, nice to know another county is already
Yes.
through it,
Yeah,
so.
we're kind of letting
We're
them
not gonna
blaze the
see
trail for us.
Yes.
Again, like Ken said, our office has actually been looking at this for a number of years. And I think you probably know that because every time I come down and talk to you guys, I tell you that we're gonna at some point in time have to replace the system. So it's just, but it's a huge investment and we didn't want to run into it, blindly. We wanted to take our time and make sure that we've vetted these companies as best we can. And we've traveled to a number of different counties and looked at what they had and things to that effect. And this truly is the best option that we found available out there for us.
Also known as our only option.
Pretty much, that's why it's the best.
That's the one and only. I don't think there's no way past.
Or, well, I wouldn't want to bring Tyler in or somebody like that either, that hasn't been in Washington, so.
Yeah.
Washington's tax lawyers are confusing enough. Granted, I think somebody's gonna come in 1 year and figure it out.
Good thing they never mess them up in Olympia.
No. If we only knew somebody that worked on it sometimes.
I voted for some of them.
I know you did. I yelled at you about one.
I walked in my office and Krista and Stab sitting there with their arms full. Why did you vote for that? But we know better.
Other questions? No, you're good. All right, slide 7 and we can wrap. All right, so it's pretty simple. I mean, obviously, we're here for an ask, and that is the $11.7 million seed money, and then the ongoing annual roughly 1.5, the analysts included. Again, we look at this as a sole source award. We'd like to move into contract negotiation. I understand you guys are in the throes of budget discussions right now. So, whenever you're ready to green light us to move into contract negotiations, ready to move forward.
So with that, we're gonna have Shrek present next on their request for a 2-series piggyback fund. We'll talk through that. And then I thought we could have the budget discussion. Deanna and Scott Bauer are both on, well, I'm currently listening to talk through bonding and other options for the board's consideration. There's some big numbers, obviously, we're looking at. We'll bring you what we think are the best options, so you guys can make a decision at that.
Can I ask a question real quick? Like from an operational perspective, what thoughts do you have on timeframes?
Well, we have different times of the year where we don't want to go live during, and that would just depending on, what cycle we're in.
So the
same thing for Mike with the tax collection side and the billing.
Yeah, kind of good news is Tom's system process feeds into our system. So
Right.
when he's working on sending out valuation notices and all the assessments and all that stuff, we're doing something else. When Tom's getting yelled at for his evaluations, we're processing the text, the file to get the statements out so we can get yelled at when the statements go
Right.
out. So it's kind of almost self-leveling type of process when you look at it in its entirety.
There is truly no time where neither of our offices is in the middle of a crisis.
The one component would be just figuring out the implementation.
Yeah.
The building this all up and getting it ready to implement, then we have to figure out when is the most beneficial time the best time to implement because there are some considerations there.
June, July, August is perfect for you. I know. So this will be the discussion for 2 years.
I mean, I've been through 2 conversions already of our campus system, so
Yeah.
what's one more? Any other questions?
I
Super,
think we're good. I think we
Thank you
gotta
for your
figure out
time.
how we figure out how to pay for it.
please.
Leave Lori is online.
So they leave when we get to that point of the discussion.
Oh,
Later, guys.
Ooh, give us more money. See you later.
Here's Lori.
Good morning.
I'm gonna let you lead.
I think Scott probably can set the stage on this one, Lori.
Yeah, so I think we talked last couple weeks ago around a ask by Shrek to have some financing for some of their upcoming capital needs, not only the new facility and build out, but also some of their future microwave systems and the back and forth. We talking with Deanna, it didn't make sense for us to include a microwave system acquisition because the timing of the spend of the funds to avoid arbitrage. The microwave system is probably out farther, so Lori's team has relooked and said, okay, if we put some of the stretch reserve dollars aside for a future microwave reimbursement, then there is an opportunity to use more of the funding from the bond issuances for the building. So I think a couple of commissioners had some questions on it. So Lori was invited on to just give any more context on the nature of the ask and the specific uses, intended uses of it, and the time frame they were looking for repayment.
Yeah, so I think the biggest ask for us is obviously going to be for our building. As you're aware, we purchased a building in December of 2024 for $9.11 million. And we are in the process of finalizing the design and engineering for that building. The great thing with a 911 center is that it's a lot of technology. So a lot of the fun stuff probably won't get to happen with what we're looking at for funding, because the majority of that fund will go into the infrastructure and the technology to make sure it's secure and a safe place for us to reside for the next 30 to 40 years. So with that, we also are in the process of realizing that we've got quite a big ask coming the next few years regarding our microwave system. We have some significant updates to keep the VHF up and running, which is needed for auto aid, mutual aid, and as a backup. And so that's about an $8 million ask. So as Scott said, when we were looking at it, we still have about $12 million that we're looking at for our building reserve of a $35 million project. And so our thought process was to move that $8 million to the microwave system to get that up and running, and then look at hopefully getting approval from you wonderful people to be able to bond the rest. And we're looking at about a $20 million ask. Questions?
So 35 million is the total building needs.
Correct.
And so it might just be helpful for me to see it all kind of written out. I'm trying to follow, just so I'm keeping track of everything. So 9.11 was the purchase of the building.
Correct.
Okay, and just, can you just tell a little bit more about what the microwave project is for those of us who aren't on the board, don't know what that means?
Sure. So the microwave is the part of our radio system that is kind of our old system that we continue to manage, so that a lot of our neighboring counties and partners that utilize microwave instead of the 800 megahertz, and I'm doing my very best because I'm also not the radio expert. So if anything doesn't make sense, I've done all I can. But ultimately, we haven't upgraded anything with our VHF since our radio system went live in 2012. So really they recommended a 10-year upgrade. We decided to push it off in hopes that we could kind of partner that with our new facility so we weren't upgrading things across the board and then having to move them. So we're a little bit behind on that. We're going to do it over the next couple of years where we upgrade the systems, and that means touching every single tower. There's software technology in the background that we have to do on the tech side of it, but also going to towers and making some changes with some of the systems there. And if there's anything more specific, I can get you the right person, but that's my solid knowledge right there.
A little bit more, I mean, microwave is a technology to connect all of our towers together. It's only one of many technologies. Fiber is the preferred one, but some of our towers are very far out in remote areas, and it would be very expensive to pull fiber. So think about it as kind of a point-to-point connection where it allows interoperability and communications between towers. So the microwave is just a portion of the system communication connectivity.
And it's also a main point of backup for us too. If anything happens with fiber where somebody's digging where they shouldn't be, things like that, it's how we can maintain the radio and have it up even if technology fails us in other areas.
And what was the 12 million? So that was 8 million planning for. What was the 12? I missed that.
The 12 million's for the new facility. So that's to do all of the upgrades to the new facility, the things that we need to do for the remodel to make those changes. So there's a lot of ballistic securing that has to take place in that building, and a lot of grounding and technology that we have to do to make sure that our systems run and have redundancies. Additionally, we're having to build a new radio tower there, and that's an additional cost. So we'll go from 23 radio towers in the county to 24 radio towers in the county, and it'll be our main hub.
So originally was the plan A was to use the reserves for all of the building related costs. Is that correct? That you're describing it, you needed to kind of change the plan.
Yes. Yeah, so the reserve that we had intended to use that towards the building and then look for a loan for the additional money that we would need to finish it. Now we're looking for a larger loan to cover that so that we can move some of that reserve to the microwave.
And then what would the 20 million be for?
The building.
Is that the remodel?
Yep, the remodel, the upgrades, and we are doing some technological upgrades as part of that building remodel with our phone system and our radio system. So there's parts of it that are all kind of contributing to making sure that we can go live at the same time with all of our new equipment.
And what's the difference between the 20 and the 12?
It's
12
the
for the building, 20 for the loan. So help me understand the 8.
So originally we had 12 million left over after our purchase of the facility to put towards the building, towards that 35 million. We're going to pull 8 million out of that now, and now we're asking for 20 million total to be able to finish the building remodel.
It's 12 for the building that the need is, that current reserves won't cover. Shrek identified another $8 million of the future need for the microwave system. So 20 is the total ask.
Okay.
Because the microwave tower, microwave replacement won't happen in the spend down requirement under the bond proceeds. They would take another 8 out of reserve, set it aside for the microwave, and then ask for the full 20 to just go to the building. So that's where the 20 comes from.
It's a swap for tithing due to bond restrictions.
Bonding is better on physical asset, which we'll see here in the next conversation.
Wrap this all together.
Yeah, on the software, we're gonna need to figure out how we pay for the software on the entire fund other things.
Another question. Just on the repayment plan for the bond. Obviously the some of the revenue sources that currently support Shrek are being discussed, exactly how that will look regionally. Are you thinking through different scenarios of outcome there? And, you know, in a best case scenario for Shrek, here's what the repayment looks like. In a not best case scenario, here's what the repayment looks like. What does that planning process to you look like?
So we've been, for the past 5 years, been doing the same process every year, where we budget accordingly based on what we anticipate might be the apportionment for the city of Spokane. So looking at it from all various percentages of what that could end up being, and we always look at worst case, best case, and then looking at the repayment. It's right now we're hoping for about a 20-year repayment plan, and we'll continue to apply the different percentages based on what ends up happening with that discussion. I will add that the $8 million, depending on what ends up happening with that apportionment, the $8 million that we will be putting towards the microwave will need to be discussed at a further level with our board on how that part of that would need to go towards the users of the radio system.
So if the apportionment favors the city ultimately of the other revenues, does Shrek currently have the reserves to do the repayment, or would it be looking at other things like user fees? I'm just curious what that means. If it goes in that direction, what's the plan?
So as always, we have 3 different sources of funding. So we have our 2 taxes, and then our third source is user fees. So the ultimate impact, if the taxes aren't covering it, would result in user fees.
And is that something that Shrek board votes on? Does it take the jurisdictions agreeing? How does that work? If it comes to that, just for the sake of planning, I'm wondering, is that something that's kind of a sure thing, or is it a process? How does that work?
In terms of establishing user fees and.
Yeah, if they needed to go up.
All of the, Lori can correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the agencies through the law advisory board and the fire advisory board, they get presented proposed user fees, budgets early on before they come to the Shrek board. So it gets socialized there. They have awareness of what the user fees might look like, and weigh in on the affordability of them and any other recommendations they have. And then they come back to the Shrek board for their ultimate adoption of the user fees for the next year. So there's a wide involvement with all the agencies at every one of the 20 jurisdictions, agencies that are part of it are part of the process for evaluating the user fee and the establishment of them.
And then the board votes on it.
Yep.
That all the questions on Shrek? Are we ready to move toward bonding? Well, thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
With that, we have Scott in the, I'm gonna move down my text. This is passing out the combined REIT sheet. A request from the last time we spoke to be able to see those numbers more together. By way of reminder, REIT 1 and 2, aside from being collected and put in 2 different accounts, they can be used for the same purposes now. So they're interchangeable, although we have to count for them separately.
This was our best attempt to try to combine the 2 REITs into one big happy family.
And then by way, just to remind you, everything on this list after 25 is a compilation of projects that have been submitted by different departments that they would like to see funded. Nothing has been approved. So as we talk through it, you'll see we are going into negatives, but that's if You guys said yes to every single project that comes forward, which here in the real world, that never happens. Prioritization is just a fact of life. But you'll see here at the top, you'll see REIT 1, REIT 2, and then the combined balance. So you'll see moving into 26. In this moment, we're scheduled based on our 25 budget to start with a little over 13 million in fund balance. We do know that one of our big things in 25, the 3.3 million, 6 down on the second page for campus remodel. That is what we had for moving the prosecutors into a big chunk of it, not all of it, into Monroe Court. That is a work in process. It's just still a work in process. So the vast majority of that will be rolled into next year. You'll see our estimates of revenue in the second section. We have kept it somewhat flat, although we're seeing home sales are reduced. The legislature has changed REIT into a progressive table. So more expensive houses pay a higher rate, kind of like your income tax chart you're all quite familiar with. As our house prices have significantly increased in this area over the years, that has kept REIT revenue relatively flat, even though as many sales. And then, the first 3 columns, your 23, 24 actual, 25 budget is exactly that. 25 is just a budget. We will not be spending all of everything in 25. And 26 through 31, again, it's really, we have put everything on the list that we have to date, and it's for your guys' consideration. So based on that, don't let the negative numbers startle you as much as on first glance they might. But you will see going into 29, if you were to do everything in 26, 27, 28. REIT would go into a negative in 29. We did, Scott, Tessa, and I did go through a couple weeks ago before the last presentation and just took kind of a best guess at moving a lot of stuff out to 28, stuff that had been sitting there for a while. You guys will be rearranging that as part of the budget process. So REIT is one of our larger buckets of possible revenue. And then you pass this one out to Tessa.
Yeah.
The sheet that's mostly white, just with a few things on the top of it. To look at other revenue options that could pay for bonding. Vicki Dalton, our auditor, has let us know that the statewide auditors have been pushing for some adjustments with some new licensing fleet fees. She did tell me she thought they'd be more flat than they'll escalate with population, but not really. It's not an inflationary factor. It's just more as the area has more people. So generally, a flat $1 million annually will be coming in. To tie into the Aumentum conversation, which you'll recall is 11.7 million. The auditor's office also has a recording piece, much smaller. It's about 500,000. And that is that piece that kind of, it's definitely an add-on. It's mostly the treasurer assessor, but there is a piece in the auditor's office that has some interplay. She has requested that this new fee help cover that be a one-time thing. We've talked through energy savings, talked different ways about it, but just wanted to remind, we do think once the boiler, the switch gears, all the modernization, clean buildings is done, there will be about $500,000 in annual savings. As we were just picking our brain of all different funding options, the board, you had some ranges on outside agencies, but the smallest range is still just over $1 million that you guys have reduced out of the outside agencies. That would be, if you not reduced it, could be considered ongoing revenue. I know we're pushing some of these definitions. You could always use general fund balance. even if you say you're gonna do REIT, money is money, look at your house, you can move from the savings into your checking and write a check on it. And any given year, you could say, in 2029, you want to short REIT a bit. We have fund balance for 2029, we're gonna pay with just general fund balance to shore up REIT. And another one to throw on the table, it gets discussed every year anyway, is a road shift. Talking through, this is software that impacts, Minton is software that impacts everybody. Reparcel, everything, as does the road shift. Of course, that's a one-time thing, can be done different years. Those are the revenue ideas that we've put forward as just setting the table. Y'all are the decision makers. We're just throwing out different ideas that we're thinking of, and I think we also probably want to hear from Scott and Deanna on, like, do we want to fully bond the more structural infrastructure side of this? We've already spent 5 million of general fund. And that's the general fund additional capacity from the ARP movement last fall. So it's not our 39 million, but that other 10 million lot. We've already paid for bills out of that. So all 5 million of it is actually spent. We could move that to bonding, replace it, and then that 5 million could also be moved towards technology asks. So that's another way, but if you moved all 5, there's still a $7 million gap there, give or take. Add to the.
I think just recognizing that with technology, there's a shorter window as far as the useful life goes, and so adds some complexities to our bonding. They would expect to match the repayment term with the estimated useful life, so likely software is not a good candidate for including in the bond offering.
They just want a 5 or 10 year repayment.
Yeah, which is why Jeff and Tessa had is sharing some of these other things for consideration of funding now. The mental program.
So to remind you on our fund balances, I should have done on this sheet and think about it. We are at 35 million ballpark on fund balance that is unrestricted. In addition to the 2 months we keep on hand for bond rating purposes, and that is net of the 4 million that the board has already decided for the risk liability account that will backfill this year for all of our departments. So we're at 39 minus that 4 takes us to 35 million there. And then we do have about 5.5 million left in the ARP backed general fund. And then we could, with bond money, so plant the 5 million we've already spent.
Reimburse ourselves.
Reimbursed. And so those are the different pots of availability. We could also buy down with general fund. And you will see back to the REIT sheet. Sorry, I did not call it out. Where is our
On the second page.
cost? What I was thinking about.
Oh, no, that one.
So if you look at their expenditures, the 5th one down, that 2 almost 8, the 2794 number,
Right above the subtotal for debt.
that would be a $35 million bond for 20 years. So what we plugged in was our biggest dollar amount, 35 million at the 20-year life. If you went down, so we figured this would be the largest number. So we thought we'd start the REIT with the biggest hit financially, and you guys can back away from that if you so chose.
Lots of moving parts.
Right, like, I feel like. where like it'd be, I will just say better to have a presentation that actually shows all that on paper so we can follow it versus just discussing and not having, like, we're all trying to like go, what was that? Where was that? What?
Or board with some thumbtack.
Yes.
String.
Red
string.
FBI crime scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's what we're asking, Jeff, is, and I think that's what I was trying to ask last week, is like, what is it that we think we're going to bond? And how do?
That's what we're waiting.
It's not waiting on us. It's
Well,
like, I need to know from you, like, if, and from our experts here, what can we bond? And then we look at bonding that. Now, how the rest of it mechanics works within is ensuring that we're for audit purposes, meeting all the needs of the auditor. But what is it we're trying to look at that we can actually bond? I mean, the same question was what, Commissioner Jordan was asking for market. What are you trying to bond with that $20 million? So we're at 35 million.
I would say, yeah, 35 million for the, I would recommend 35 million for the full infrastructure. Take the 5 million already towards infrastructure and apply it towards Momentum. And then we'd have to come up with the rest of Momentum also. But for the actual bonding, based on the feedback we've heard from this group in former conversations, that's what I kind of feel the body was. And I throw it out to Scott and Deanna to chime in here, but I think their advice has also been to go in with the infrastructure and not that team. Am I speaking correctly for you guys?
Step hour. Yeah, I think you have it right. I mean, again, we're just trying to make the longest lived assets being the ones that you finance so that you could amortize that over a 20-year period, which makes sense for long-term financing.
And I can chime in here. This is Deanna Gregory. My video, it looks like I'm synced up with audio, but not my video. So not sure if I can do something to fix that, or maybe, oh, there we go. Just a second here.
That's okay. We can still hear you.
Yeah, you're loud and clear. You're coming in very, very clear on our end.
Now we can't hear you. So.
It sometimes takes a bit when we rejoin as a panelist, it kicks us out for a second, so she may be coming back in.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. I was just going to add to what Scott said, is that legally speaking, the county, of course, has the debt capacity from a non-voted debt capacity standpoint to cover the full amount of these bonds that's been proposed. From a cash flow standpoint, we anticipate, just to follow up on the comment made earlier about the SHREC and its cash flow and its affordability. We expect that there will be an agreement between the county and the SHREC that obligates the SHREC to pay debt service on or before each county debt service payment date for its portion of the bonds. And we also anticipate that it will capture those three pots that Lori mentioned. So the sales taxes as well as user fees, and a covenant to impose or raise user fees as necessary to make those debt service payments. So that will help with the cash flow from the county's perspective. And then speaking of the useful lives, I know we've had a lot of conversations about whether we should focus on the longer term assets or or do a mixture. And from a federal tax perspective, we take a blended look at all of the assets that are financed. But I know certainly here, if we're trying to limit the debt and the debt payments to match the useful life of the assets, then, but if that would make, I think, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that would make some larger payments upfront in those early years. So if we're thinking about, if the goal is to have more of a level debt service payment through the life of these 20-year bonds, then I think focusing on those longer useful life assets would be better from a focus perspective. Is that right, Scott?
Right, a $10 million borrowing over a 5-year term is about $2.3 million per year for those 5 years.
Well, and if we were really gonna look at doing that, we would take a loan out from the treasurer's office versus bonding it and not incur all the cost of bonding. So, I mean, I think that's why I, was asking the question last time and have been talking about it with people. It was like, we don't want to bond on something because the bondholders are not wanting to purchase something that is a short-term asset. They're wanting to ensure that it's a long-term asset. Is that correct?
Well, they would be more than happy to finance the software over whatever period of time is legally allowable. But, and then also, yeah, I think just from the county's perspective, you're not going to want to, even if you could, amortize something over a 20-year period, that's a 5-year asset.
Right. Well, we wouldn't be able to. I mean, the auditors would come back at us and not allow us to do that. So, as a CPA, so we can't extend the life just because we want to of a
exactly.
Of
right.
an asset, so.
Right. And I think that's the tension here. It's because from a federal tax law perspective, like I said, we look at a blended useful life for purposes of planning, but and we do have a lot of longer term assets here. But I think from to your point, the state auditor's perspective, as well as just the goals of the county to keep the debt tied with the useful life of those assets, it brings those payments down earlier, so you would have more debt service due in the earlier years, while those during the time period when the software and other short-term assets are living their useful lives out.
$5 million?
I think, again, I want to see
So
what that
would you have that
$35 million.
Bring back, we will bring back in a pretty Excel sheet
Spreadsheet, checks handwriting.
that will show 35 million for infrastructure. We will put in the 20 million for Shrek for that consideration. So $55 million total bond, all of it at 20 years. Separately with the technology, we will come up with a plan for the 11.7 on the Aumentum. I think we should also throw in the 0.5 for the auditor's side of that. So it'll be a total of 12.3. And
how we're gonna pay for it all.
in my mind, we would use all that 10 million, 10.5 million of ARP general fund capacity. And then look at the auditor's new fee, which would be the almost 2 million difference. But I will put that all together in a readable format for those of you who don't talk about this for hours every day. Have to make lots of different decisions. And if that is sounding at this point the way you think you want to go, if the devil's in the detail, all work out.
I think so.
Readable, you can use your word.
And I don't want to say I'm agreeing to the 35 million.
Concept to look at in the future.
Yeah, I think once we see how that all is laying out and where the funds are and where they're coming from for the husband or what for the other system. Because I mean, I do agree. I mean, it's just like Workday. We have the advantage of having ARP dollars for Workday. We don't have that advantage any longer, but how can we do this? Because I know it's a necessary thing. Part of, yeah. I mean, I've got a few more questions on that. I'll ask a different time.
So the other thing I'd like you guys to look at today, if you would, in your packet, you will see the proposed timeline for bonding. Would like feedback that Scott Bauer put that together just as a initial proposal to start conversation. And so now that you kind of see what could be, if you guys could look at it and see what we might need to be working around and looking towards on scheduling.
Yeah, my only concern with that first week of November is we are pretty hot into budget at that time, and we're gonna be, that's like a key time for decision making for the budget, for then me to be out of town, because, you know, takes me out for, I mean, I can call in for the meeting, but it takes me out for them, you know, kind of several of those days, so. And I again, you know, I voiced this concern and concerned with the election week. It's just a tough week for the bond market. It's historically been, I don't know. So,
This is 2025, not 2026.
right, but it's still an election timeframe. So it's not a national one, but people tend to still, it's kind of almost a unique week. I don't know. So I'm like, still think that first week of December to get us out of budget cycle. And then we know where that's already met. I looked that up. It's like they meet before that. So I don't know. That's just my thought. I talked to Sean Keats a little bit about it. He didn't seem like it was one week over the other would be a difference. So that's.
So we'll probably need more time anyway. Just the reality of budget season on top of everything.
Right, because I mean, you guys are gonna be busy as well, you know, at that point in time. So it's like, I mean.
On some Saturday working in that, yes. So if that sounds good to people.
Mr. French.
Well, I mean, if closing on the bonds is a travel issue, I mean, we could have Scott sign the bonds, or we could have Jeff sign the bond. I mean, that's what we used to do. We had the CEO and the budget director sign the bonds.
I'm saying all of us are busy with budget at that time.
But
It's
yeah,
not just me.
yeah. So I'm just saying that you know, there are other options. Just getting it, that's all.
No, it's not my travel schedule. I'm just concerned with the budget timeframe at that point in time.
Got it. Okay.
Because that's when we're really making our cuts, is
Yep.
those first 2 weeks of November.
Yep.
Does somebody from the county, one of us around this table, have to be with Deanna and Scott, like when the sales are made?
No.
And we don't go to New York. We don't travel for the pricing. We are glued to our computers, patiently waiting for numbers and the bond purchase agreement.
What's the travel?
Scott has gone in the past. I believe.
Okay.
I have gone to New York in the
And
past.
you need somebody from the county to be with you for those, or?
It is.
I mean, I guess it's helpful. I don't want to say it's awkward if it's just me, but I mean, it can be, it could just be me. Yeah, it's you know, I guess I find the process collaborative, and then, you know, we're talking to the underwriter themselves, the sales folks, and so sometimes we're making some decisions in real time. And I appreciate the collaboration of having somebody from the county there.
Yeah, like I said, in the past, it was either the budget director or it was Scott or Marshall Fornell. One of the two, and you determine who's going to represent the county in the resolution, the authorizing resolution. But all I was trying to do is just say, you know, we have options. That was my only point, so
We do.
I'll let it go.
Yeah, well, and I've actually been there for the last 3 bond sales.
Well, yeah, but that was because of you. I mean, prior to you, we never sent a county commissioner to the bond sales. It was always either the CEO or the budget director. And so that just started with you as the chair.
Just in looking at the time frame, as proposed, seems to anticipate decisions now, right? We're just still working through it. in
Which
any
is why I
event,
was
so
fine
I think
adding
it's-
some on the back end.
Yeah.
our timelines don't always meet our hopes and dreams. So I think we have our marching orders unless you have a few more to give us. We will go forward and we'll bring this back next week as part of our next Tuesday, just by way of remembering, will be the full budget presentation. We'll just go over kind of the main sheets and then give you the tutorial on how to dig deep. Want to look details in any way, it will be at this point the plan. Mostly will be virtual online. We'll have access to look through everything. Your computers, you don't plan on bringing in 2 rings of bacon for each of you. That sounds good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. That's then gonna take us to Mike Sparber.
Morning, just going to provide a quick update on the process for getting a new medical provider for detention services. So next slide, Ron. Just for memory's sake, the county received notice of the departure of the medical services provider, which is going to occur on January 26th. Upon hearing that information, the selection committee began to seek other options for a replacement provider. Through conversations with vendors at WASPIC and those that approached the county, 4 potential vendors were identified. The selection team had an initial conversation just to kind of get a sense of the firm, size of their firm, background, number of facilities, their ability to handle medium or large jails. Based on the ADP of the size facilities, type of services they provided in years of experience, and then their approaches to similar transitions from firm to firm, to another jails and so forth. Next slide, Ron. So each of the providers, we provided them with an Excel spreadsheet that had numerous questions on it that were from the previous RFP that was provided with assistance of the NCCHC. The firms were asked to respond to all those expectations, which they did. Additionally, we asked them to present a proposal on how they would handle a transition plan for the jail. Each of the firms submitted responses, which were evaluated by the team. It was decided that all 4 teams would move forward. On August 21st, 2025, we conducted virtual interviews with all the 4 of them by the selection committee. And then I might add that this is only an evaluation of medical services, not mental health services. That was not included in our discussions. The next steps, our next steps are going to be to recommend the preferred firm for consideration from the board, and you can expect that shortlist in the next few weeks. So I'll open it up from there. 2 slides, that's pretty good for me anyway.
Better than that.
Don't have the usual 7 to 10 or whatever, so. It's been a pretty straightforward process. We've got all the right players at the table and some assistance from HR as well, so I think the process is going really well. So.
And we just wanted to, because we had a notification at the end of June that the current provider was going to terminate services at the end of the year. Obviously, we were already in advance kind of doing some preparation with the prospective departure of them. We just wanted to give some good confidence with the board that a lot of activities have been occurring. We've not been sitting idle. We did some pre-planning even before we got notice, and the team is executing against a process to have someone on board by the end of the year. And if we do have some time that we need with our current provider to extend, Mike has talked with them about that. So there's a willingness, but our focus is on December 31st, having a new provider in place and a transition plan built, and an ability to try to retain some of the folks at the that are currently working for the contractors. So.
And it's a pretty compressed schedule to get a transition, so.
With that, so you have it down to one firm? I'm sorry, just trying to read through the slides again. So, because you 4 people were interested, which we hadn't had that interest in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
So, and where are they on pricing compared to kind of where we were at?
So they gave,
You can just say in general, I mean, I'm just, cause I
yeah,
know.
they're in the same ballpark as what we were paying without the increased escalator on the other side of it. That's what we can expect. And again, we expect some reduction in it because of, it's just for medical services, not including the mental health services.
And they're okay with trying and integrating the two. I mean, cause it's like, I think that's what. I mean, NAVCare is our current provider. They were wanting to have the two combined, and so not having the two combined, is our team willing to work with their team and
Yes.
vice versa?
And then also, I might add too that, they provide services that NAVCare doesn't. I mean, honestly, there's some good things that have come out of these conversations, along with, not over reliance on the medical record system that NAVCare uses. They've got their own that they use, which has been pretty good. So primarily our concern has been about the staff. We want to maintain the staff and make sure that they're able to transition over, and hence some of the conversations with NAVCare to make sure we don't run afoul of the contract that we have with them right now. So there's a willingness on their side to work with us. And so as long as we can maintain that good relationship, I think the transition would be a lot smoother.
Yeah, and then the other thing with the new vendor is, I know Dr. B worked really hard with NAVCare to kind of work that transition between coming into the jail with the hospitals and vice versa. So has that been part of the discussion?
It has, and it's all of this is the same, based on the same RFP that we had for the original. So those conversations already taken place, along with the waiver $11.15 that we've got to have consideration to. So all of that is wrapped up in this RFP from the previous provider, minus the second RFP that included the mental health services.
So if we're doing the mental health services, because 11.15 waivers for mental health, is our team then going to start doing that?
So our team will do those services. It's the billing structure that we have to take care of, which is going to be provided by the provider. So.
But if it's mental health, isn't it our team that should be doing the billing?
We're not set up to do billing coding, coding from them and making sure that it has the billing structure behind it, but the jail's not set up for doing billing right now. Okay, and I'd be happy to meet with you
Yeah,
offline.
let's just talk.
Yeah,
offline.
just so I could talk through that a little bit more
Okay.
with you, but that'd be fine.
So your other question, Commissioner, the interviews were just done last Thursday. So now the selection committee that Mike's assembled will be looking through all of the expectations, our needs, assessment, how they responded to all of our questions, how they performed in the interviews, what their pricing structure is, and then they'll be going through kind of a stacking of that to be able to come back to the board with a recommended. So right now, there's not one, but we have all the information that we need to inform on a recommendation.
Okay.
Just a quick question. So you're planning to bring one recommendation back? Is that the idea, or to bring options, pros and cons? What is the thought there?
I expect we'd probably bring one back that if it rose to the top, but we'll share with you all the firms and how we evaluated them, so you can see all the sausage making if you'd like.
Yeah, you'll see them all.
Especially the price making is
Yeah.
about. I was also curious, oh, sorry. Were you gonna jump in?
No.
Oh, sorry. National Commission on Correctional Healthcare, is that kind of like a best practices, like standards
Yeah.
for nationally? So are there, I assume there are kind of like minimum training standards for all jail providers? Is that
So-
where it comes from? Or
It does. They have an accreditation process that they follow. And so most of the firms follow that accreditation, policies on it, so it's all encompassing.
so is that required for every firm or is it? Okay, it's
It's not
something we
required.
say we want
It's
by
something-
contract or something. Okay,
It's something we did above and beyond to make sure that we're getting the right.
very good.
Okay? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, 2 slides. 2 slides.
Say, show me the money.
Yeah. No, to be critical, all in due time.
Yeah.
Well, great
We can
job
bond
in
that too.
making it happen quickly.
Yeah, we'll
Stuff.
get it done.
Put it on the credit card.
Put it in the credit card. Just charge it to the.
It's gonna take us to miscellaneous.
Well, we wanted to bring in front of you consideration for how you want to advance the appointing and filling the interim Spokane County prosecutor position. I'll let Matt speak on timelines. I believe it's in the September 16th that the board has to make a decision. Last time you did this was for the treasurer position, similar, somewhat similar circumstances. And you all come up with a list of questions. You asked Ashley to take a look at them and kind of combine them together. And you set up a interview with the candidates as part of your 2 p.m. agenda at the very end. So wanted to open that up for you all to weigh in on. Do you want to do something similar this time? Is there a date you want to target for having the interviews and the decision? Anything else that I missed?
I would recommend not running it up to the deadline. So September 15th, September 16th is the deadline. So if we could do it days before that, then there's no question that we met our deadline.
So that would put you at the 9th of September. Give you a week in advance.
What is the name?
Tuesday.
It'd be after the 2 o'clock or as part of the 2 o'clock.
As long as I can participate remotely, you bet.
Sure.
That's fine.
And the week before would be the 2nd.
Yep. That's Tuesday.
What would be the week before again?
Tuesday the 2nd.
Second. September 2nd or September 9th.
Okay, and what was the deadline again? Sorry, just that.
16th.
Okay,
Just saying.
okay, well, we could do the 9th, right?
Yeah, I could do
Virtual.
2nd or the 9th.
I think would be better for me.
Okay. We'll just want to be able to have that date set so Gina can give notice to all the individuals as to when we having them come in and kind of we'll just replicate what we did for the treasurer, kind of an expectation of the process and I think we sent questions to them in advance last time. That way they all understand the question in advance as opposed to one person going first on the questions and the next two getting maybe an advantage of it. So
That was up with like a global list of questions last time that we all chimed in on.
yes.
Yes.
Yep, I thought that was a pretty good process.
You all kind of gave some of your ideas for questions, sent them to Ashley, and then Ashley just combined them together because there are probably some similar ones. I'm gonna give you all back a global list of questions you're gonna ask.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So because we are interviewing for our elected position, all the questions do not have to be the same. We like to have them the same, but because of the two peculiar differences and so much information available about 2 of the 3 candidates, there's a question that I would like to ask one candidate that is not appropriate for the other and vice versa. Can I do that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
What you guys did last
I'm
time.
done.
So last time I gave them a full list, you gave it to them in advance, so that at least they all have the same questions that they're aware of. And then you picked and chose which ones you wanted off of that list for each candidate individually.
Right, but we had a set list that we could choose on.
Yes, so I would just request that that question is on that list, and then if your friends would like to ask it, you can ask it to that candidate.
Right, but I thought we had kind of miscellaneous questions that we could ask anything if we wanted at the end, based on the discussion.
You absolutely
Yeah,
can.
certainly could be some follow-up questions that obviously.
Yeah, I'm happy to wait until the end for my question, but it just. Yeah,
As a follow-up question.
it's a follow-up question. Thank you.
So because I think what would be easier for me as the chair trying to make sure we are doing it is we actually identify the questions we're gonna do and who's going to ask such questions. So because it was kind of hard for me to be going, did this question get asked? You know, 'cause once we run through the first one, then we have to ask the same of the others. And so it was a little hard as the chair to be going, okay, this one, this is who asked this one. So, yeah. And so what I'd like to do is based on the full list of questions to really have us try to narrow it down ahead. And then who's gonna ask, identify which commissioner is gonna ask which question. That would be more helpful to me as the chair when I was trying to like do all that on the fly.
Happy to oblige.
Very intense.
So maybe next Tuesday, if we, before we could finalize the questions next Tuesday.
So you guys will send them to me by next Tuesday, and then I can redistribute them.
I think if you send out the master list of questions that you have.
So I can use what we had last time. So last time you guys actually sent me your questions. I then combined the list and then resent out the combined list. So if you want me to just create a list and send it out, I can, or I can be your guys's repository, put it all together and then send it back out.
About actually send out the questions that
Yes,
were asked last
that's
time,
fine.
and then you all can look at that and offer some changes to it based on the nature of the position. Yeah.
Yes, and then we can come back Tuesday with what are the questions we're gonna ask.
Check out the prosecutor questions. Yeah, I think we went through and we tweaked everything from commissioner questions and turned them into treasurer questions. So now we just need to change them from treasurer questions into prosecutor but
Yes.
yeah.
So yes, if you do that and then Tuesday we'll finalize those questions and identify who's gonna ask, so that way we can get them out to the candidates. That's a good question.
So,
September 9th.
on the,
In the
The second, Pat, I'll get to you. Pat had a comment on this stuff.
go ahead, I can ask my question after he's done.
Okay, Pat,
Nope, I think that's good. I was just gonna mention when we have the date solidified, we have some media who's asked me to keep them posted. So it's been a frequent topic coming up recently.
okay, so September 9th at 2:00. After where we adjourn from our 2:00, we'll be doing that as a part of it.
Is it reasonable to ask the candidates to provide certain information and limit it to that? Because getting a 3-ring binder full of information going back to the date of birth is just something more than I really need to go through. Is it reasonable to say, we would like you to provide a general resume, references and stuff like that, and just call her good?
Which I think we have in the past. There's been a minimum thing, but I think some folks want to give that additional information. I would say just flip past it if you don't want to read it.
Feel a moral obligation to read everything, and including the comments from the doctor that delivered them.
Any instructions you'd like to try to focus the types of information you're looking for. Everyone can choose to give whatever more they want to and.
And just a reminder, if any emails we receive, we just, in support of one candidate or another, we forward those to Gina, correct?
Seems appropriate.
Yes.
Then, and I think the plan, and at least in the past, she's then combined those into the full, into one packet to give to us. So we have all of them.
Okay, so if we all get the same one, she's just putting one in the packet, I see.
So, yeah. But there could be ones that people send individually to all, or they send to just their commissioner potentially. So that way we get them all either way.
Okay. Real quick question. So on your point for the treasurer, did we ask for certain things like resume? I can't remember if we gave guidance.
We,
I think so.
We did,
I think so.
but then there was some supplementary.
so,
Some people gave supplements.
yeah,
I think when we send out the date to the candidates, so we just asked for, I think we did just ask for their resume and certain information, so.
Yep.
Chance
I
reference.
want to say there was,
We'll replicate that.
yeah, I think there was a resume references. I think we asked for just like a statement of like, why do you want
Statement
the
of
position?
intent.
Yeah, and then,
They kind of repeated with their opening statement.
yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
I'm fine with doing something similar where we just say, here's the basics, and then if there's supplementary,
well,
choose
yeah,
what to review.
yeah, if we wanted to provide additional information, just say. Any additional information providing the addendum which might not be read. Thank you.
Anything can be skimmed out.
Yes, yeah.
All right. I think Pat had something on KSPS Spotlight. Pat, you want to cover that?
Yes, thanks, Scott. So, as you all know, or should recall,
Oh, want to mute.
sorry about that. So as you all should recall, from doing spotlights for the past several years, we've had 12 recordings a year, each intended to highlight, feature a significant event or news from the county as a public affairs format TV show. We did reach out recently to KSPS to ask them about rates for next year. We've been operating under a small escalation each year from the original contract. So to my knowledge, we don't have a contract in force at the moment, but looking at budget cost savings opportunities, there are 3 or 4 options. 1, we could just keep it as it is, just pure status quo. 2, we could try and reduce it in half, thereby having 6 spotlights a year, 1 every other month, with each commissioner having 1 spotlight and then 1 reserved for state of the county. Or we could eliminate it. And I think zeroing it out should be on the table as an option, just given the fact that we have other communications platforms and channels, but in the absence of a newsletter for the board, it really does help function that way of informing the public. KSPS viewership stats being what they are on Saturdays, I think it's very likely that as many people are watching it on our YouTube channel as are watching it live on Saturdays when it airs at 6:30. But it is, public education, public television, and great programming. But of course, it is not free to us and not free to KSPS to produce. Each episode has been coming in the past. I think it was to be around $1,500 per episode, or in the ballpark of $15,000 to $20,000 a year. I think if we were to keep it status quo and keep all 12, I imagine KSPS would like to be at 25,000. So just give you a size of dollar amounts. If we were to cut it in half, we would be aiming, for 6 episodes for about $12,500. My recommendation for cost savings would be to zero it out. But if there's a desire to keep it in some form, or to approach KSPS and ask if they're open to, having it, we could go that route as well. And if there's strong desire to keep it all together for the value that some see we're getting above and beyond the broadcast and the social media aspect, let me know. But it's your decision. Just wanted to bring it forward and and take a pulse of where you think we should be.
Commissioner French and the Commissioner.
Mr. Bell, is in the franchise agreement that we have with Xfinity, Comcast, I know that with the city, they have to provide one channel, which is channel 5 for government access. And for some reason, I'm thinking that the same provision existed for the county, but I could be wrong. But is there an opportunity for us to just use our government access channel and promote that channel and be much more broad with regard to county issues that we want to communicate to the public?
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner French. That was renegotiated recently, the Comcast franchise agreement. What they have done, to my recollection, I think it's called a PEG fee, public education grant. And what they do from the city, having talked with City 5 and how they administer it, is those dollars are actually available as part of the negotiated contract. You can negotiate a PEG line into the contract. I think in lieu of that, our negotiators took the tact of getting no-cost cable access to several offices on the county campus in this latest iteration. I do recall a discussion anyways, and I can go back and talk to Deb Firkins on this, that they were reserving a channel for us. Of course, the cost to operate a channel 24/7 or even, during regular hours is probably significantly higher than our current contract with KSPS. It does give us a lot more time on people's screens, but I will note for you that City 5 has been, at least up until last year, I can check in with them again, rebroadcasting our commissioner meetings, our special programming, some of the more interesting advisory committees of the board, and they've been doing that at no cost. They just pull those files right off of our YouTube channel. And so they're making that publicly available just as a way, because they need, an ample amount of content as well. And thinking about filling, 24 hours a day, you need 24 different segments. Even if you ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you still need a big bulk of content. So I would suggest we're getting some of that already by City 5 rebroadcasting our content. The other option I had looked into with Tessa in the budget office, and I don't think we brought it to conclusion, is if in this current franchise agreement or in the futures, we could use some of those funds to purchase recording equipment, needs for the Crow's Nest, to broadcast your meetings, or if we could, in fact, pay for some of the KSPS programming out of that franchise agreement dollars, because I think they give us some consideration for in the franchise agreement as well to the county. But we'd need to track that down if that's of interest in exploring further.
So I know when we first started down this road, the county channel was contracted out to community-minded enterprises. And so they used the channel and then we piggybacked off of that. But we've not done that for many, many years. But that's why I was thinking there is a channel available for the county's use.
Yes, and I do believe that survived, at least having a channel set aside for us or reserved. But of course, there's nothing there currently. It would be in the future if we wanted to stand up something like you're suggesting, going back and contracting out with a broadcast agency or somebody with that capability, or if we wanted to do it in-house. Another alternative, if we were to zero out the contract, or if we were to half it and there was commissioner desire, my team could be available outside of the surge, weeks and months around state of the county and some large events that we put on, which take quite a bit of manpower. But we could be available to assist you all if you were to designate a commissioner in the same way that each commissioner has a schedule for KSPS, a Facebook Live. SRHD has been successful in doing that. The Spokane City Council and a few others in the region do broadcast their meetings live on Facebook, but this would be a very similar live format using existing equipment, but no additional, contract or equipment cost, to use like an interview at the dais, for instance, where you and your guests would sit across from each other in the front two chairs, and we'd just utilize existing broadcast equipment we have in our Facebook Live audience. We have about 8,300 likes or followers on Facebook. So any typical video in there, if you capture 10% of that audience, you get about 830 views. Of course, live viewership would probably, be between 50 and 100 people at any given time. You would have an interactive component possibility with questions and answers back and forth. So we would have somebody monitoring the chat, but it would not be at the same production that we're doing. Sorry, I'm getting the look. It would not be at the same production value that you see at KSPS, because there wouldn't be teleprompter operators, people in a control studio. It would be, very much on you to help lead the conversation with some talking points, and your interviewer to give responses. It could be edited down, but it would be a live format, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you all felt comfortable with.
Thank you, Pat.
Are you sure? No, I was just, so Pat, you mentioned the health district and the way they do their Facebook Live. So I haven't seen it in person, but I've seen it on the screen. They essentially, from what I understand, created kind of a mini studio in there, I think, as a part of COVID when they were doing those regular updates and all that. Just with our relationship with the health district, I think it's got kind of an SRHD background. We have the county step and repeat. I'm sure it wouldn't be a huge hurdle to get permission from them for us to utilize their studio for an hour a month. We'll just bring our backdrop, pop it up in front of theirs. And I mean, I haven't seen their equipment. I don't know how high quality is, but based on what I see on the screen, I mean, it looks pretty good. The resolution, the audio equipment they have. So I mean, I think it would definitely be worthwhile to maybe have Pat reach out to Kelly and just ask, hey, is this something that would be available if we needed it, an hour a month? Or if their cost is minimal or free because of our partnership with the health district, maybe it's something we do more than once a month. Maybe it's something we do twice a month. I don't know. It's right across the street. If the cost is right, like you said, something that's recorded, put up on Facebook and YouTube, or Facebook Live and then put up on YouTube. It could be another avenue that maybe not quite the level of production as KSPS, but maybe the one that fits our needs better.
Yes, I would just add, a year ago I took a tour of that studio, and it has 3 different nice set locations. It's got one kind of corner, which is more kind of coffee type conversation. It has a high table, which is more of a news interview format, and then they have a podium setting as well. All 3 available with professional lighting, a teleprompter, and an operator. As you all have discussed recently, the SRHD has a robust communications operation and budget. And so I just want to circle back. They did say they would, a year ago, they said they would make that available at no cost, just on a time, depending on their schedule, what else they had going on. But they have a very professional operator. I had a lot of confidence in working with him, Christian, and I'd been in touch with Kelly. So I can see if that offer still stands, but that's also a great opportunity to utilize their equipment for other recordings we might want to do in a more controlled studio type environment.
Matt, I just want to say, I don't know what the issue is with my colleagues, but I've been told that my spotlights are breaking ratings records. So this may not be a full board issue per se, but
Daniel Tiger is destroying you in the ratings. I'm sorry. Yes.
We'll get to the bottom of this. I assume we're just trying to find cost savings just because of the budget, the way it is. And I was kind of envisioning we might explore the having it option. I think it's a good partnership. They do a great job with the production, and My mom always loves it, seeing it on KSPS. So if there's a way to keep it but reduce the cost, I think that'd be my first preference. Then we could explore other options as we go forward.
Yes, I mean, I'd like to see the numbers as to how many people are really watching KSPS and
Remember,
our
it's
show.
KSPS World. It's not KSP. It's
Yes,
sort of the,
but
Yeah, yeah.
people do see it on KSPS.
did they ever put it on Channel
Yeah.
7? I thought it was only KSPS World.
No, on channels.
They, oh, okay. Okay, okay.
They don't track those numbers.
Well,
You have to subscribe to the ratings bureau and they don't.
yeah, no, it's not worth that. Yeah, no, it's on. I know people every now and then say, oh, I saw you.
Oh, because the original broadcast, the Saturday one is always KSPS World, which I always have to search for because I can never remember which channel it is. It's not, it's like 323 or something like, or 313 or something like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, I think my mom used to like to see it too, but I think as we're asking other departments to cut, you know, we got to look at what we can cut in our department, which there isn't a lot that we can cut. I think the health district is a great idea because yeah, their setup is really, really nice. And happy to pay the cost of the employee for the time to do it. I don't think that should be on the health district to do that, but I think letting us use the facility for free would definitely be a worthy cause as we provided a lot of the COVID dollars that I think helped them make that studio happen. So anyway, so I'd be happy to have you reach back out, you know, and then again, we can still put that on our YouTube channel, we can put our social media for people to take a look at as to what the options are. So kind of where.
Can I ask Pat, if you go over and take another tour, can you let me know? I'd like to go over with you and see it.
Yeah, of course. It's a very professional environment in there. I can tell that they really maximize the use in terms of the quality of equipment they had. They do have a professional teleprompter screen. So the interviewer would have that, which would be nice. It's not our small, compact, mobile, tripod screen. It's a full-size studio teleprompter with the operator that comes along with it. So yes, I will work with you to get something set up. I'll work with Ron to get us a time.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Pat?
On the press release front, we'll have our closure notice for Labor Day. Martha Lou has prepared that. We also have a press release in the pipeline announcing the opening of the fair and the key acts to come. I did just see some traffic I was copied on from Erin. I think there's a new opportunity this year she's created, it sounds like, to do a Commissioner's Choice Award with a photo opportunity of an exhibit or a part of the fair. I know there will be a mad race for the horse barn and the pig barn and the 4-H kids, but I think there's lots of quality exhibits. She had a timeline she laid out. I'll let your assistants work with that. If you want any help or backup from me, let me know, or the comms office. And then there was also an invitation she sent out. I think she did this last year too, offering 3 concerts for a commissioner to introduce the act. Some big names in that, but I know schedules are tight, and I think those are a lot of evening events. So I just bringing it up for your awareness. If you hadn't seen the emails, I got CC'd on them as well. So that's the big stuff. Other than that, all heads down right now in our department on State of the County, and putting some finishing touches on that work product. We are still looking, I believe, I'll work with Martha Lou on getting the Camas Meadows opening if the date's not on calendars yet. I think we're waiting on some additional details, but that coming down the pike too.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we all got an email from Erin on that, so appreciate that, bringing it to our attention.
It's like we each select a winner. It's not a joint.
Right.
We each.
Yeah. So.
Reward.
Yeah, I think I talked to her about, talking to other commissioners at other fairs. Other commissioners are very active in their fairs, and so just as a way to make us more active our fair, which I think is great. So one thing Justin Johnson sent to me asking me if we would do a developmental disabilities awareness month, which is October. So it's a little early, but I'm just gonna get that off of my plate. If people are willing to do that proclamation.
Sounds good.
Okay. So that'll be good. COG update, we have 41 respondents, 5 more than last year at this time. Sending out another email. The double-decker bus will be there from 7:15 to 11:15. Arrangements are being made with Aaron and Brandy from Aaron Brandy at STA. On the agenda, we have updated it. Emily now has to be out of town, so Lance Beck and Zeke Smith will be doing the Public Health and Safety Task Force update. Since Emily's gonna be out of town. And I think that's what I have on the updates for the COG. So, and the agenda will go out to those RSVP'd soon. That's my miscellaneous. Just a second, we
I
got.
have one, just on the 2 o'clock, we have a bar association letter. I just wanted to ask if there's any objection to giving that another week or two of thought. I met with the bar association representatives last week. Wanted to just reflect on that a little bit. And one of the issues we talked about is the role that the legislature has in approving new judicial positions and paying for part of that. And I have conflicting information about how that process works, whether it needs to be county initiated or not. And there's an OAC study, so I just would appreciate a little more time to think about that piece and whether anything on that topic should be added. So it doesn't seem like an essential thing that has to be moved forward right this second. So I was just throwing that out to see if anybody felt strongly about that.
I'm okay to delay it.
I was just thinking, I mean, every week we delay, I mean, they're waiting on their end for a response. That was only my thing. I don't have a ton of friends over there, so no, that person didn't show up to the meeting. So they were supposed to be at the meeting, they weren't, so I was not able to give that to them. It was some other folks attended, the individual from the bar was not at the meeting. They had to they weren't there, but everyone else was there at the meeting, but they weren't the ones that sent the initial letter, so I didn't give them a copy of it. So no, they didn't, Matt was there with me at the meeting, and I mean, we had a good discussion, a good robust discussion that, you know, so.
So no bar reps were there.
They were expected to be there, but I guess they had canceled at the last.
They're not really waiting for a response then.
So, well, no, they are waiting for a response because we haven't given them the letter yet. So, yeah, they had planned to be at the meeting. Matt brought a copy, and it was the other people of the group were there, but no one from the bar association.
Excellent. I mean, I'm happy to wait a week. I mean, that's gonna be a big deal for them to wait one more week. And I think I would like to get clarity because, I mean, again, I'm going off what information I've gotten from Matt Anderson is that he was saying it's the county needs to request to the legislature positions.
That's what he indicated to us when he spoke to legislators. He had said, why don't you authorize additional seats? And the legislators said, well, we're not going to authorize seats unless the county requests them, which quite frankly, I think makes sense. I mean, if the county doesn't want them, if why would the legislature spend time
Are we
on?
required to? I guess that's.
What's that?
Are we required to by RCW? That's my question. No. So I don't.
Clearly, last time they just did it, right? They just authorized a position back in the 90s, and then it wasn't funded for decades later.
See,
So
that-
I
I
just
don't
wanted
know.
to look into, is that
Couldn't
how
tell.
it works across the board? Because this is not necessarily a Spokane.
We weren't
issue.
around.
So
I know,
yeah,
but I assume that
part of
this
what
is a
Matt
common
said was
issue.
that it was the office of the court and OAC did like a study to show the need, and that's what the legislature used. But they're not doing that anymore, from my understanding. And again, this is all from Matt, so.
All correct.
Okay, So
Part
then
of
it
what
would
I
be-
want to do is kind of process what he was telling me and just kind of synthesize things. So I haven't had a chance to follow up with our Matt about what I learned, so.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I told Matt at the meeting too. I said, you know, because he was saying, you know, you need to ask the legislature to get it, you know, to get them authorized ahead of time, just kind of get that out of the way. And I just told him, I said, well, if we don't have an identified funding stream to pay for them, why would we ask the legislature to do it? And I said, and honestly, say the money did come available at any time in the year, the longest point from another legislative session is about 9 months. So even if we line that money up in less than a year, we can have those seats authorized. So, and we kind of went back and forth a few times on that, but we're never more than 9 months from the start of another legislative session. So, and many times of the year, we're less than that. So, yeah.
And well, if there's no strong objection, then I appreciate that. We can bring it back.
Yes, so let's just add it to next week's agenda. Which one?
It was
Let's
on.
find out.
5B. Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we will just delay that 1 week. Do I just strike it?
You can strike it or you could continue the matter. It's probably easier to just strike.
We'll strike it. Just that way, if there's any changes to what.
Can I ask on the agenda 3A, what is that?
That's the agenda for the fair event, I mean,
No, 3A.
3, not 5A. That's the TIF.
3A is Liberty Lake. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I was reading it there. TIF wasn't in there, Liberty Lake wasn't in, I didn't know what that was. Okay.
A lot of
Okay.
words that
Yeah.
And that's just scheduling the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
just the notice.
Okay.
Back to the Liberty Lake TIF. I was thinking about this, and I don't know whether this is a good idea or not, but offer it up for your consideration. As you look at the obligations for real estate excise tax and the improvements that have to be made to the golf course and some of the other things, I don't know whether those improvements are capital or not. But if they're capital improvements, why couldn't we add that to the TIF and take it off of our list for REITs and save some REIT capacity? So just a question, not campaigning, but you know, if we're going to extend it, let's do something that's going to help us financially with our REIT expenditures. Just a thought.
I think worth exploring. I don't know the map on top of my head to know if that facility is inside.
It is inside the boundary.
Most of the boundary.
Lake.
On it,
It's not boundary for Lake, but down in the whole city.
You have down near the lake, though, it's unincorporated area.
I think our
Golf courses.
Yeah.
But isn't one incorporated, one unincorporated, or isn't that road right between, wasn't that?
City is.
The two.
Could be, yeah.
Continuing that.
But. I mean, even if it's outside the boundary, we can always adjust the boundary.
It's like the map shows the boundary, but there's a big plot right there.
seen that.
Jim sent it to us. He sent to all of us.
It appears both golf courses are in the city of Liberty Lake, if Google Maps is correct.
Well, it is the TIF boundary.
Yeah, the TIF boundary I don't have, but
Cause all the new area was north of the freeway.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
The boundary is bigger than the new area. I don't know how much.
Yes. So it'd be us choosing to use our TIF funds.
I mean, we can always, I mean, the boundary, as long as we're renewing it, we can always expand the boundary.
Does that affect the state match piece? To change the boundary?
Maybe a first one.
I'm just looking for
See if it's
opportunities to help the bigger cause being the general fund. Or REITs, you know, I'd like to be able to save some of the REIT capacity and. Anyway, just a thought.
All right. And that would be. So those. Dollars, and I think Liberty Lake, I mean, it may be talking to them. I think setting. Hearing doesn't.
I'm not sure if that locks us in. I think we can still set the public hearing and maybe go back.
Okay.
Yeah, because we haven't published yet. The items for the hearing. All we're doing is setting the date.
So yeah, I'll check to break it and not see you.
It might be just something to double check that the notice language is broad enough that it leaves some flexibility.
Or 2:00.
Or 2:00.
Good saying.
Commissioners,
You go, I'll see you.
6 months ago, I had put Jordan Neal in the interim building director role. And the agreement was to evaluate him during that time, and that 6 months came up last Friday. And from everything I've heard and everything I've seen, he's been doing a really good job in that role. So I lifted the interim appointment off of him. So he is the building director for the county. For you all, your role is appointing a building official for the county. So there will be a resolution coming forward on an upcoming agenda to take that action. And that is again for the assignment of the building official and the roles and responsibilities under that. So I'd like to let you know and make you aware.
Three executive session items this morning, I think 2 this afternoon. The 3 this morning are all pending in potential litigation. The first one is 20 minutes. Scott Simmons, Matt Folsom, Devin Kurta, Jeff McMorris, Kyle Tuig. No action. The second one, 15 minutes. Scott Simmons, Devin Kurta, Matt Folsom, Jeff McMorris, Heather Arnold. Again, no action. And the third one, I have 15 minutes, but yeah, we'll stick to 15 minutes. Matt Folsom, Scott Simmons, Devin Kurta, Jeff McMorris, Kyle Tuig. No action.
And all 3 are pending potential.
All pending in potential litigation. Yeah, Pat Bell to that one. We'd like to add Pat Bell to the first one, please.
So we're gonna go into executive session for 15 minutes. At the end of that executive session, we'll adjourn for the morning and reconvene at 2 or after 2 o'clock. No action is anticipated. So with that, we will move into executive session now at 11:34.